We are reading A Course in Miracles, and we have arrived at chapter 26, which is called The Transition. Before we start reading this chapter, I'd like to just talk about for a moment this book that I wrote last year, published, and it's out on Amazon, and it's called Simply A Course in Miracles. And what it is a humble attempt to put A Course in Miracles in more simple language, but with the caveat that the Course really needs to be read on its own terms to really fully get the deeper essence of it all, right? And even if you read the text, that doesn't mean you're going to get it. You get it kind of, piece by piece, because it's a lot to take in. And that's partly why I'm doing these videos, is to see if we can unpack what it's saying a little bit, or make it, maybe unpack is not the right word, but to just make it a little bit more understandable, and really just share, be a mirror for your own journey. This video series is hopefully a mirror for your own journey with the Course. So this book, Simply A Course in Miracles, it gives, it's actually in 3 parts. The first part is essentially putting the Course into very simple nuggets of wisdom. The second part is a lot of the figures that came before the Course that shared pieces of what the Course is getting at, such as Freud, Einstein, Gandhi, Nietzsche, Plato, even people like Emerson and Meister Eckhart and Saint Teresa of Avila and Shakespeare and Rumi, etc., etc. The third part is just some of the great passages of the Course and some of the great quotes from the Course. So Simply A Course in Miracles, it's on Amazon. You can check it out. I'm going to put the link on this video. And without further ado, I'm going to get right into this section here. Now, I want to mention that the original title of this section in Helen's notebooks was Holy Ground. Okay, Holy Ground. But the name of this first section is the same, the Sacrifice of Oneness, except in the original manuscript, sacrifice was not in quotations, but in the new in the blue 3rd edition put out by the Foundation for Inner Peace, sacrifice is in quotations. So maybe we'll talk about that when we get there. So here we go. The sacrifice, quote unquote, of oneness. In the, quote, dynamics, unquote, of attack, is sacrifice a key idea. It is the pivot upon which all compromise, all desperate attempts to strike a bargain, and all conflicts achieve a seeming balance. It is the symbol of the central theme that somebody must lose. Its focus on the body is apparent, for it is always an attempt to limit loss. The body is itself a sacrifice, a giving up of power in the name of saving just a little for yourself. To see a brother in another body separate from yours is the expression of a wish to see a little part of him and sacrifice the rest. Look at the world and you will see nothing attached to anything beyond itself. All seeming entities can come a little nearer or go a little farther off, but cannot join. The world you see is based on, quote, sacrifice, unquote, of oneness. It is a picture of complete disunity and total lack of joining. Around each entity is built a wall so seeming solid that it looks as if what is inside can never reach without, and what is out can never reach and join with what is locked away within the wall. Each part must sacrifice the other part to keep itself complete. For if they joined, each one would lose its own identity, and by their separation are their selves maintained. The little that the body fences off becomes the self, preserved through sacrifice of all the rest. And all the rest must lose this little part, remaining incomplete to keep its own identity intact. In this perception of yourself, the body's loss would be a sacrifice indeed. For sight of bodies becomes the sign that sacrifice is limited and something still remains for you alone. And for this little to belong to you are limits placed on everything outside, just as they are on everything you think is yours. For giving and receiving are the same. And to accept the limits of a body is to impose these limits on each brother whom you see, for you must see him as you see yourself. The body is a loss and can be made to sacrifice. And while you see your brother as a body, apart from you and separate in his cell, you are demanding sacrifice of him and you. What greater sacrifice could be demanded than that God's Son perceive himself without his Father, and his Father be without his Son? Yet every sacrifice demands that they be separate and without the other. The memory of God must be denied if any sacrifice is asked of anyone. What witness to the wholeness of God's Son is seen within a world of separate bodies, however much he witnesses to truth? He is invisible in such a world, nor can his song of union and of love be heard at all. Yet is it given him to make the world recede before his song, and sight of him replace the body's eyes. Those who would see the witnesses to truth instead of to illusion merely ask that they might see a purpose in the world that gives it sense and makes it meaningful. Without your special function has this world no meaning for you. Yet it can become a treasure house as rich and limitless as heaven itself. No instant passes here in which your brother's holiness cannot be seen to add a limitless supply to every meager scrap and tiny crumb of happiness that you allot yourself. You can lose sight of oneness, but cannot make sacrifice of its reality. Nor can you lose what you would sacrifice, nor keep the Holy Spirit from his task of showing you that it has not been lost. Hear then the song your brother sings to you, and let the world recede, and take the rest his witness offers on behalf of peace. But judge him not, for you will hear no song of liberation for yourself, nor see what it is given him to witness to, that you may see it and rejoice with him. Make not his holiness a sacrifice to your belief in sin. You sacrifice your innocence with his, and die each time you see in him a sin deserving death. Yet every instant can you be reborn and given life again. His holiness gives life to you, who cannot die because his sinlessness is known to God, and can no more be sacrificed by you. Then can the light in you be blotted out because he sees it not. You who would make a sacrifice of life and make your eyes and ears bear witness to the death of God and of his Holy Son, think not that you have power to make of them what God willed not they be. In heaven, God's Son is not imprisoned in a body, nor is sacrificed in solitude to sin. And as he is in heaven, so must he be eternally and everywhere. He is the same forever, born again each instant, untouched by time, and far beyond the reach of any sacrifice of life or death. For neither did he make, and only one was given him by one who knows his gifts can never suffer sacrifice and loss. God's justice rests in gentleness upon his Son and keeps him safe from all injustice the world would lay upon him. Could it be that you would make his sins reality and sacrifice his Father's will for him? Condemn him not by seeing him within the rotting prison where he sees himself. It is your special function to ensure the door be opened, that he may come forth to shine on you and give you back the gift of freedom by receiving it of you. What is the Holy Spirit's special function but to release the Holy Son of God from the imprisonment he made to keep himself from justice? Could your function be a task apart and separate from his own? So our task is not separate from the Holy Spirit's. Right? Our task is to meet each brother, meet each other, meet everything outside, seemingly outside of ourselves, everything that we perceive to be outside of ourselves. Meet everything essentially with the remembrance that we are still one, we are still joined, and that has never changed, and that is our true essence. And everything else is illusory. The body is not real. The body was made by us to hide the truth, to hide the fact of God's reality, or the fact of love's reality, right? There is no love between bodies, right? The love is in that remembrance, right? The memory of God. The love is in, as Gerald Jampolsky put it, the love is in the letting go of fear, and the love will, the sun love, the one love will dawn upon us as we let go of our fear. When we do that process of elimination, which I mentioned, there is a word in Greek, apophasis or apophasis, which is this process of elimination where you let go of everything that is false in order to arrive at what is true. In a sense, it's similar to the Socratic method, the way Socrates would question to get at what is false so that the truth can be revealed. And that's what we're talking about. And this is a course in arriving at love through letting go of everything that is not love, and everything that is not loving, right? I think that's an important principle to keep in mind, or important idea, which is everything that is not loving, letting go of everything that within ourselves that is not loving. I think the problem that people have, and the thing that, the difficulty I keep hearing that people have with the Course is, but how do you do that? How do you do that in this world? Because there is so much unloving behavior happening, and how do I deal with someone who's being unloving towards me? And the Course, actually, Jesus keeps putting it back on you and saying, actually, why are they being unloving to you? Or why do you perceive them as being unloving? It really, the fault is in your eye. It's not anywhere else, right? The problem is within you. Don't put it outside of yourself. So you got to take responsibility. You made all this up. so we all wanted, we each have to take responsibility, right? We all did it. We all, in a sense, made up the dream, dreamed the impossible dream. And it is upon us, each one of us who was sincerely seeking the truth, it is upon us to step up and say, I am the one I've been waiting for, right? I am the only one that needs to awaken here, because I take full responsibility for this. If someone is being unloving to me, it is only because I, not only am I choosing to see it that way, but I have set things up in that way, and the when my brother is being unloving, I don't have to look at that in any negative way. That is a golden opportunity for me to help me to be more loving, to help me to let go of, or let's say to help me let go of what is not love within myself, right? So that I can reveal more the love that is there. So I can understand and go deeper and see what is in the way. Because, we stay very much on the surface because of fear. We don't go deeper. We don't go deeper with the Course. We don't go deeper inside of ourselves. We don't peel the onion enough to see the deeper layers. And as Jesus is saying, we're afraid to. We're afraid of what we're going to find there. But Jesus assures us that yeah, we might find some scary stuff, but ultimately we're only going to find love. And that's, the ego has no reality. Love is the only reality. That means, but it's scary because it means no more bodies, no more, no more ego personalities, no more bodies. That's very scary. Let's read this one paragraph here. Those who would see the witnesses to truth instead of to illusion merely ask that they might see a purpose in the world that gives it sense and makes it meaningful. That is us who are doing the course. We are choosing to see a purpose in the world that gives it sense and makes it meaningful. Without your special function, has this world no meaning for you? Why are we dispirited? Why are we depressed and dispirited? Because we're not in touch with this special function. You could also call it your true dharma, if you want to use a Sanskrit term. You could call it your calling, your special calling. And who is calling? It's love. The love of God is calling you. It's been calling you forever. And if we're deaf to that call, then yeah, we are dispirited. Life has no meaning. Even though we try to give it meaning with all the surface stuff that we do, the superficial things that we do. Yet it can become a treasure house as rich and limitless as heaven itself. This is an important line as far as I'm concerned. This world can become a treasure house and as rich and limitless as heaven itself. This world, this very world, samsara can be nirvana. That's what it seems to be saying. No instant passes here in which your brother's holiness cannot be seen to add a limitless supply to every meager scrap and tiny crumb of happiness that you allot yourself. No instant passes here in which your brother's holiness cannot be seen. So we all, in every moment, we can see our brother perfect and perfect and whole. We can see the other as perfect and whole. Every moment. Everyone. No exceptions. There's no exception, right? To add a limitless supply to every meager scrap and tiny crumb of happiness that you allot yourself. It's a little bit hard to decipher, but I think what it's getting at it's probably a little bit of an inside joke. I'm guessing there, but our true self is limitless, right? And when we see the limitless outside of ourselves, we remind ourselves that we are limitless, right? That our reality is limitless. So everyone goes home together. When we see our brother as whole, perfect, as the love that they truly are, the perfect love that they truly are, then we see ourselves that way, and we add a limitless supply to every meager scrap and tiny crumb of happiness that you allot yourself. So we don't realize how much, what I'm getting from this is we don't realize how stuck we are, right? We have really limited ourselves. We have really disempowered and dispirited ourselves. And every little step, every baby step that we make can potentially bring a little bit more light, a little bit more joy, happiness to the situation. Little by little, wean yourself. Rumi, right? Wean yourself little by little. It will happen. So anyway, the sacrifice of oneness. Why is the sacrifice in quotes? Why is sacrifice in quotes? Because oneness cannot be sacrificed, right? So it needs to be in quotes because the ego, only the ego thinks that oneness can be sacrificed, right? That's the ego's ploy, the ego's game, the ego thought system is that sacrifice is real and sacrifice is necessary and God's on some level. Let's not bring God into it, but that in a way that God demands sacrifice, that justice demands sacrifice. Going back to the last chapter was all about justice. That justice demands sacrifice. The justice demands punishment. And when you put sacrifice in quotations, it's just to remind you that sacrifice is unnecessary and impossible. And no sacrifice. God does not will sacrifice. Justice does not demand sacrifice. Sacrifice is illusory, impossible, and insane. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll come back to, for the next section, many forms, one correction. That I'm sure is going to be very interesting. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again soon. Hari Om Tat Sat.